So my favorite anime is a series called Slayers. It's basically a D&D power fantasy about a sorceress named Lena Inverse and her protector Gallery Gabrielle going on misadventures together. I've been following the series since I was in middle school and till like my young adult days. I've been reading the light novel series which the anime is based on. There's a lot of differences between the two when it comes to the plot, the placement, and outcomes. So, based off of memory and after reading volumes 6 through 9, I'll try to recap the novels as best I can and talk about the anime differences. Anyways, I'll talk about some mild spoilers from volumes 1 through 8. So if that's something that concerns you, I recommend not watching this video and definitely checking out the novels or just watch the anime, whichever you want. But anyways, starting with volume 1. Just like the first events of the anime, Lena and Gowry get caught up with Zelgadis in the Red Priest Rezo's feud. Zelgadis wants revenge against Rezo for turning him into a chimera, and Rezo wants to cure his blindness, but accidentally unleashes Shepherd Nikto. The events play out almost identically, except the novel uses more vulgar language in the English translation, and Rezo's face melts off during the transformation into a Dark Lord. Volume 2. This is where I've noticed that certain events had occurred in a different time placement since the event was adapted later in Slayer's Next. Instead of the right after the Volume 1 had occurred, Volume 2 is about Lena and Gowry going to Atlas City and dealing with a sorcerer named Halicaform, obsessed with immortality and reviving his dead lover. Unlike the anime, Zelgadis and Amelia aren't involved and aren't substituted by a novel-only character named Luntz. Reading this novel made me feel like I was watching or imagining a 90s horror anime, like the original Hellsing, or how graphic and gory everything that was being just described. The only thing I could visually see was a man's severed head being kept alive in a jar. Helicoform's death and the ending is a bit like different from the anime, where in the anime he resurrects his soulmate Rubia as an emotionless homunculus. But since she possesses no soul or no memory, Helicoform commits suicide, killing her alongside himself. In the novel, Helicoform was ready to attack Lena and Gowry, but the clone that he had created of Rubia stabs him and he dies with a smile on his face. The clone of Rubia lives on peacefully in Atlas afterwards. Volume 3. The third book is based on the final arc of the first anime series, about Copy Rezo exacting his revenge on Lena and her party. Zelgadis returns to the story, and Sophia gets introduced for the first time into the story. Luntz is also reintroduced in this volume in Amelia's place since she hasn't yet appeared. Eris is also a part of Lena's party until it is revealed that she is the double agent working for Copy Rezo. I like the humor and the dialogue Lena has with Eris, that even outside of her being evil, Lena just couldn't stand her. Lena would just comment on how badly she wants to just slap Eris, or how she just looked at Lena and I quote, "She looked at me like I was retarded or something." All of this was funny to me. Outside of this, the demons in this book are described horrifically, and I wish I could see all the designs for them because of how disturbing they sound. And the biggest bombshell is Copy Rezo. The difference between the anime and the novel, that is, in the anime, Copy Rezo wanted to be he wanted to be seen as his own person removed from the original by surpassing him. In the novel, it's the same as it's kind of the same on the surface level. However, the original Rezo and Eris had tortured and experimented on the clone, and they eventually merged him with a demon. This not only made the clone more demented, but it gave him more potential than any other human to use magic. But it altered his appearance. In the anime, Rezo created a clone to discover a cure for his blindness, which the clone never had a problem with since he could actually see. In the novel, it plays out the exact same, except Rezo, out of spite, fused the clone with a demon, giving Copy Rezo 2 extra demonic mouths in the place of eyes, and it's horrific as it sounds and looks. Volume 4. In the fourth, there's an assassination attempt on Prince Philionel's life, and he requests the help of Lena and her party to save him. Much like the earlier stages of Slayer's Next anime, being set in Saloon and having her dad's life on the line, this is the Amelia's first appearance in the novels. Sophia is escorted to live with her grandparents after her dad and kingdom Cyrag was destroyed by Copy Rezo, so she's in the story briefly, and Zelgadis doesn't appear returning to his quest to cure his body. Another notable change is that the demons Alfred, Phil's nephew and saboteur, works with in the anime only showcase Kanzo and not Mazinda. Kanzo was killed by Amelia's raw tail and Lena's dragon slave infused sword of light. In the anime, Mazinda had killed Alfred after using him, but in the novel, Alfred is put down by his own dad, Christopher. Christopher attempts to commit suicide after this before Phil stops him, his brother. Side note: this is Amelia's first time meeting Lena, whereas Lena has already met her dad on a different misadventure. However, Amelia and Phil have met Lena at the same time in the anime. Another major difference is that Kanzo hired the assassin Zuma to kill Lena in this book, where when he was introduced later in Slayer's Revolution. This is when I realized that some remnants from the novel that weren't adapted by the first and second animes were kind of recycled for Slayer's Revolution and Slayer's Evolution R. Volume 5. The fifth book doesn't have an anime adaptation, but it's kind of an amalgamation of Slayer's Next and Slayer's Revolution. And here, Lena gets involved with finding the Clare Bible manuscripts to better understand the Lord of Nightmares and to kind of combat the demons that are after her. Much like Slayer's Next and much like Revolution, the end result is kind of parallel with the revival of Xenophar and Douglas playing a hand in that. This is the first time Zelos is introduced. Amelia and Zelgadis meet for the first time, and Mazinda appears to seal away Lena's powers, but is killed between chapters by Zelos. Xenophar is the main antagonist of both the light novel and Slayer's Revolution. Volume 6. The sixth novel is based off of Slayer's Evolution R's beginning, where Zuma is still trying to assassinate Lena. Lena takes a job as a bodyguard under a merchant named Radok, Zuma's alter ego unbeknownst to Lena, also on his hit list. The difference between the anime and the novel is that Pakoda is absent since he hadn't appeared, he hasn't been introduced yet, and Ralatag is Zuma's servant, secretly a demon of the Chaos Dragon Goth manipulating the parties in the novel only. In the novel, Lena receives the sword training from Gowry in order to protect herself from Zuma. Zuma also goes through a major change in the novels and anime when it comes to his motive and his end. In the anime, he and his wife were kidnapped by bandits in the past in order to ransom them. Ever since he had trained to avenge his dead wife, who was tortured to death from the event. However, the bandits were killed in Syrag's destruction by Kabi Rezo. Because of the defeat at Lena, Zuma directed his revenge towards her. During his last battle, he merges with his demonic minions, I'm going to mix these names up. Jesus Christ, Dulagat and Gazinda, but is ultimately killed by Zelos after Zuma killed his own son. In the novel, Zuma merges with Segram and wants to kill Lena to uphold his reputation as an assassin and out of bloodlust. His son Abel does survive in the end of the story, and Zell and Amelia finish off Dougla and Gazinda. Volume 7. Set around Slayer's Nexus storyline where Lena plays into Chaos Dragon Gob's hands and Gob's rebellion against the demon race, Zell and Amelia learn Zelos is a demon after Lena was withholding the information in the last volume to avoid a fuss, and Gowry suspected as much and followed Lena's lead. In the novel, Gob's priest and general, Ralatak and Rashart, also antagonize Lena and her party throughout the book. Rashart is introduced as a general enlisting Lena's aid and training his soldiers in magic before disposing of her, but due to Zelos' meddling, he saves Lena a bunch of times here and there. Lena is also guided by Maligiza to the Clare Bible in order to learn more of the Lord of Nightmares, learn how to combat the demons attacking and manipulating her, and a cure for Zelgadis' body. Zelos kills Ralatark, and Gov hacks off Zelos' arm and scares him off. Lena and her party fight Gov, and Lena manages to cut off his arm with a Ragna blade. Before Gov could retaliate, a child-sized hand impales him, and the story ends. Auntie Aqua is absent from the story, being the one in the anime to explain the severities of the Giga Slave and encouraging Lena to pursue Gowry. Ever since Volume 4, Gov's been having his minions attempt to kill Lena while keeping the collateral damage to a minimum, since he wants to win the human favor to assist them against the demon race. The minions he has sent were Konzel, Mazinda, Dougal, Gazinda, Ralatark, and Rashart. Volume 8. Following up from the previous volume, Hellmaster Fabrizzo kills Gav and uses Lena to lure him through rumors. Fabrizzo, like in the anime, does want to get Lena to use the Giga Slave to destroy the world and kidnaps Gowry in order to make her do so. Fabrizzo revives Cyrag temporarily and invites Lena alone to face him. Zell and Amelia volunteer to help Lena for the sake of their friendship by going ahead of her to scout out Cyrag. Meanwhile, Lena finishes Relishart, who is now aligned with Fabrizzo, and Lena is accompanied by Sophia, who hears about Cyrag's revival and wants to rescue Gowry. Gowry is shelved mostly throughout the story. Lena's party is divided into two teams of two, Amelia and Zell, Lena and Sophia, and Zangelis and Martina from the anime are absent in both Volume 7 and Volume 8. Alright, so that's pretty much Volumes 1 through 8. I'll probably tell you some of the lore from the that I've learned from the novels and stuff, and then I'll give you my overview in general and stuff of what do I think of the novels and stuff and etc. So, and then I'll just end the video from there. So, some of the lore. In the anime never explained how Lena had learned the Giga Slave, but in Volume 4, Lena explains that she learned it from the Clare Bible manuscript that her and her sister had found on a misadventure one time. And then another thing is Zelos is both a demon general and a priest, which is why he's so powerful. Ralatark and Rashart's powers together is equal to Zelos' full power, because one is a general and the other is a priest. And Zelos is also borrowed by Fabrizzo as a subordinate of the Greater Beast. In the novel, Lena developed the Ragnarblade or learned it off screen before the Volume 6. In the anime, she learned it from the Clare Bible. Another fact is, the Sword of Light, Goranova, is actually a demon Fabrizzo can freely manipulate. He sent the sword back to its place of origin, whereas in the anime, Gowry had it up until Slayer's Try, where it was taken back along with the other Darkstar weapons. Gowry was brainwashed by Fabrizzo into attacking his friends at one point in the anime, so Ralishart filled in this role in the novel, instigating attacks against Lena during this time. Gav mentioned Lena's sister, Luna Inverse, being the only human who could beat her, or beat him, in a sword battle, but she's waiting on table. It's a little inside joke because she's a waitress. Little snide remark Lena had made in the novel when fighting Gav. And another thing is, Zelgadis' chimera body being cured is as complicated as separating mixed juice from one another. It's basically an analogy that Zelgadis came across when it comes to his chimera body. Then Lena managed to use the imperfect Giga Slave without letting it get out of control, using it as using the talismans that Zelos gave her to take down Fabrizzo, which didn't exactly work. So these are all some of the lore that I've learned from the novels. Alright, so the first major arc was pretty good, especially if you liked the first anime series and the Slayer's Next. All of the relevant supporting characters are active and involved, like Gowry, Zelgadis, Amelia, Sophiliel, and Zelos. I like some of the moments where they back Lena, like when Zuma tried to attack Lena in her room, but Amelia catches him by surprise, firing a spell from under Lena's bed. So I like that kind of teamwork between everyone. Lena in the novels is a bit more rational and reckless, and not as reckless than her anime counterpart. Considering that she shows a lot of restraint when using things like the Dragon Slave. But she's every bit a smart mouth and sassy as ever can be in her dialogue. The first three novels are all self-contained stories that could be told on its own, and then in some volumes, like Volume 4, except that it leaves a few cliffhangers and loose ends here and there. Hellmaster Fabrizzo is the overarching villain in this portion of the novels, being the master manipulator and the anarchist towards the end, getting off on using a childish appearance to manipulate humans, reviving a kingdom and its citizens through sheer memories, or getting Lena to ingest his own essence. Yep, where he can kill her from within in Volume 8. The villains are a bit more structured, starting from sorcerers and priests like Rezo and Halicaform, to low-ranking demons like Sagarum and Konzel, to Chaos Dragon Goth, to Hellmaster Fabrizzo, and so on and so forth. Lena fights out of survival and for her own free will against the demons, and when her services are hired to protect her employer, she really does commit to the job and sees everything through. The art is pretty good, as well as having the 90s anime flair, since it was released during during those days. The images would show action poses of characters in a fighting stance, sword fighting, or releasing a spell. Some images have some cute moments, like Amelia wearing her dad's oversized robes, Lena putting on an innocent looking face to get what she wants, Sylvia fantasizing about her ideal prince, some shots of some of the bad guys looking menacing or downright terrifying, as described in the story. Some might show off Lena's attire when she's undercover or in hiding, and in some may be basic, where as some would be just amazing backgrounds like Flagoon. The story is about nine, like it's a 9 for me, for heavily inspired the anime and being structured so well. When it came down to the threats, the art is a 8.7 out of 10. While great, I wanted to visually see what the heroes experienced and just stances and stuff all the time. The dialogue is a 10 from Lena's perspective. She's really does describe the atmosphere well and can be very snarky about things when doing so. And the characterization is also a 10, all having certain quirks that stand out, being memorable, and having reasonable motives throughout the journey. The afterword also has a fun back and forth commentary when the writer Hajime Kanzaka gets chewed out by his own reader and he expresses his hardship in his career. So overall, the Slayers novels for me is a 9.4 out of 10, aka a 94% or an A minus. And it's highly recommended if you like shonen, a little horror here and there, JRPGs, and just fantasy, So this is my recommendation.